Jim Caviezel. Obviously, we don't have a lot of context. Anything you can say, Greg? Jason Ritter's in the clip. There is a very stern blonde woman. Same thing with these characters.
How about Amy Acker in that clip?
Yeah!
Episode 5, written by Lucas O'Connor, directed by Ken Fig, with some fantastic Steadicam shots in there by our camera operator, Ron Baldwin. It just looked so cool when we saw it. We thought we had to bring it. And Carolina plays the Samaritan assassin, Martini.
And Amy, how was that sequence to shoot? That was really fun to watch.
It was really fun. I was just telling Kevin that I was upstairs and he was like, do the Matrix.
Ruth, she keeps her calm, huh? Is that the key to Ruth? Just like keep
to keep calm.
Steady. So let's talk about this season. That great sizzle reel kind of caught us all up again. But Greg, you guys, you really dismantled everything at the end of last season, and now this season began with a lot of rebuilding. What made you decide to do that? Not just obviously with where the plot was going, but making a show, deciding to upend it like that, and how fun has it been to rebuild this season?
I think it's great. Whenever Joe and I, a crazy idea comes down the pipe, and someone says, let's destroy the library. That's insane. We can't. Oh, wait, we absolutely have to do that. So that's how it always works. And I think it was really emotional at season 9 last year when the library was destroyed, and we felt like, how are these guys going to live in a Samaritan oppressive world? And we thought, well, let's make it a superhero show. And they all get different alter egos, different personas, and we thought for each one of them, a little bit of fish out of water, something counterintuitive would be really fun. And then also in the premiere, there was a bit of point of contention between Reese and Finch in terms of how they were able to go about doing this, and of course they acquired the mesh net, so they found a way to communicate, but more importantly, we found our new set, which was the subway. And the library may have been gone, but Reese's point to Finch was, it's really about us, and the numbers are coming, and we felt like Subway being underground just felt like the perfect place for sort of our guys to reassemble and find a way to work with one another again.
So you talked about the superhero aspect and the secret identity thing being pushed more, so let's talk about that. Jim, Reese, it's at least in his wheelhouse, his day job. How do you think he's getting along with this new dynamic and having dual identities? He's helping people in both of them. But how does he like in the cop world?
I think it's very, very difficult because he's used to, getting business done quite quickly, and he's got a lot of red tape in the cop world.
Yeah.
So he has to listen to Fusco, and what's great about it is their relationship has really been building and trust there, and it's like a Laurel and Hardy of cops.
What's it like for the two of you? Because you obviously have a lot more screen time together, and it is a fun new, buddy cop relationship we haven't seen on the show.
Right from the get-go, when I was doing the scene with you in the car, where I threw the bomb, tear gas bomb, and I just knew we were going to have a great old time when I was back there. You did this chuckle, and I started laughing, and I had a plan, but they filmed that, and this is going to be fun. I really enjoy Kevin. He's a swell fella and great actor.
Kevin, it like to show, I don't know, sometimes the exasperation perhaps between the two of them?
Well, it's rather challenging for Fusco to sit across the desk from a man who's been torturing him in the shadows for the last 3 seasons. I feel to this point, Fusco spent more time covering for Reese than he has anything else. Because, as you know, Reese marches to his own drum, and so he has a very real job now with a very real detective. So that in itself can sometimes be challenging.
Now, Michael, Finch as a professor, that feels appropriate, certainly, what we know about him. We haven't seen as much of that as, Reese's job. We see a little more of the Finch's professor going forward.
Yeah, although it's not highly dramatic material, but yeah, I think it's a good enough cover. Although imagine the difficulty of it for Mr. Finch, who is so far advanced beyond whatever it is that he's teaching. It must be difficult for him to dumb himself down just to live up to that setting. We'll see though. It'll be fun. I think the writers are still having fun with these cover identities.
Yeah, Greg, he could be like reading a paper while he's also trying to figure out what the next number is at the same time. But
I think it's a great opportunity for a number to come up on campus, and we have seen one particular episode where Harold Finch was a high school teacher, which is so fantastic at it, but why not throw him back in the university?
Now, Amy Root, she's not about the same situation. Now, the character on one hand might be loved. Did you feel left out? Do you want to see Root, selling tickets at a movie theater or driving a taxi?
Well, we get to do a lot of really fun things. So, I think Greg already revealed earlier that I have at least 3 colors of hair this year. So, it's really fun that I kind of don't fit into the rules and get to switch identities all the time. So I'm always looking forward to the scripts to see what crazy thing they have me doing the next week.
I'm curious, we talked about how last season ended, but one thing that was really notable was that the team basically failed. Greer succeeded. Samaritan went live. For any of the cast, really, was that exciting for you to see that they would do that, they would sort of pull the trigger on, having your heroes not stop? Like, it's even that finale, well, they'll stop them. Greer reveals himself with that. Were you surprised when you read that script?
Well, it keeps the stakes high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all right. You don't want the work to come easily, and you don't want an easy success. It's always far more thrilling if they're just on the edge of annihilation. That's how we like it.
How much might we see Greer, because, clearly that they're still dealing with numbers themselves, they're still helping people, but at the same time they know Samaritan's out there, and that's sort of this bigger threat. Will that be kind of percolating in the background for a while, or will it continue to sort of build itself?
I think we're seeing war on a couple fronts emerging this year. On the municipal level, we have the rise of criminal gang called the Brotherhood, and there's a big bad emerging by the name of John, who's going to come into conflict with Elias. So that's sort of our municipal war that's brewing in the city. And then on a larger scale, our guys have to deal with this impressive artificial intelligence named Samaritan and what's happened to the machine. And I think that's a point of disillusionment to a degree for Root's character. We have a fantastic episode coming up with some flashbacks where Harold Finch explains how he came up with the machine. There's a lot of chapters that weren't told in that process, and the importance of building a machine that actually cared about him becoming.
We talked about the cop partnership, but one thing that's really fun on the show is the sort of unlikely ways you can pair these characters who are not characters who normally hang out. And I was talking to you, Kevin, earlier about, could we see the Finch and Fusco adventure at some point? Do you like that when you get to see how these characters, in a very specific situation, just 2 characters go off on their own and pair off like that?
Well, Fusco and Finch had a little adventure last year. We went to Washington, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
It always seems to break off and go somewhere.
Does that help you?
And they have a lot of fun together, you know, because their tastes are so similar.
Amy, you and Michael have a lot of scenes together. Like these characters, you know, when they met, I do not think we thought that they would be, you know, having the relationship they do. At this point, you know, what do you think? What do you think she thinks of Finch at this point? And there are times still where, of course, her actions are not the actions he would choose. But do you think she kind of is like, oh, he'll forgive me, he'll go along with this?
Yeah, I mean, we're being besties, right? We had a lot of fun last week going out and stealing some money from them. Yeah, I mean, I think the writers do a great job of just giving us specific relationships between each character, and I love every time I get scenes with Michael, I get excited because they're usually really juicy, fun scenes that we get to talk about stuff, but I have to look up and figure out what we're talking about. but yeah.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned in the last week's episode, though, because, you know, they say the rule in drama is if you show a gun, it's going to end up going off. Show a missile, fire oh, you know, that missile. How might that come out? Yeah, that's going to come back on. In general, though, the team, because that episode showed, you know, how Root helps them get new funding, is that kind of solve their problems for now, or might there be a way they continue to solve problems, or will we keep seeing the team struggle in a way that in the past we never had to see them struggle?
I think it's going to get a lot tougher. Obviously, our guys can communicate now. They have underground headquarters in the subway that allows them to remain out of surveillance view of Samaritan. But you're going to see as the season progresses the tentacles of Samaritan and what can happen when someone unleashes a super intelligence into the world, and how insidious it can become, and how much more difficult it's going to be for Team Machine going forward. It's going to get a lot worse before you expect.
So this is a show, you know, just as even as someone who is a fan of the show but also writes about the show, you gotta keep, you know, your head around a lot of stuff. You know, your decimas, your vigilance, your HRs. Jim, for you, someone working on the show, you know, are you sometimes having to remind yourself, like, which group is what? Which group is what?
All the time. I can't imagine what it's like for you all out there. But I think that as far as you have a lot of the tentacles of Samaritan, Decima, you have well, of course, HR is out for right now. Who knows? They can come back. You got the Brotherhood, but there's always, I love the allegorical aspect of our show to really what's going on in the world, and how, just if you think back in the First World War, and then the tentacles came back in the Second World War, and it just keeps, there's a lot of those pieces that, you know, when I'm going down the street, people identify. But one thing they really identify is the characters, the actors, and from all different countries. I mean, French here, we got Chinese, all over. They come up and they love it. I love you know, going to work because of that.
You know, Michael, Jim just mentioned brotherhood, and I wanted to ask kind of you guys in general about that. Can you talk about that threat, and how will that be on Finch's radar increasingly as we move forward in this new group?
Oh, the Brotherhood with a capital H.
Yeah, not the brotherhood, you know, too. But,
The Brotherhood wanted me to expand on it as a general. It's a wonderful thing.
brotherhood in general.
Brotherhood. Oh yeah, they're one of our non-AI villain groups, and they're really smart and fast-moving, and they're going to be a huge distraction for our heroes, as if they didn't have enough on their plates already.
Anything you can say, Greg, about that group?
Yeah, this week you're going to meet the leader of the Brotherhood, Dominic. He's a fantastic actor. But the real fun is when Elias, who, after vanquishing the Dons, actually became a fugitive from the law, and while he's been somewhat underground, was this group has stepped into the void, and Elias is going to have something to say about it, so it's going to be a fun conflict.
Now, I was asking you about this earlier, Kevin, but Fusco, he's helped them so much, and he's intertwined with them a lot, but he's not in the headquarters with them. He's not going down there. Do you want to see him, go down to the headquarters? Do you want to see him become like a 100% member of the group, or do you like the role he has at this point?
No, I enjoy the separation. I don't want to keep up on like Samaritan and the Machine. No, it's nice to have, all sincerity, it is nice to have some separation from the group. Somebody that kind of gives it a sense of gravity, and that you look at that and you say, okay, this is real over here. And I think that's really what Fusco brings to the piece, and I enjoy playing that.
Now, Amy, I have to ask you about your character and Shaw. What's the deal there? Is she just messing with her, or